Good afternoon, colleagues. Hope everyone's doing well. I hope I'm legible. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we
Hearing you
can
loud
hear
and
you.
clear.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so today we're going to be dealing with the introduction of H5P in Moodle. We've had this training before. If you were present in the training, the previous training, then you can actually use this as a refresher. But if you weren't there, we'd like to welcome you. Today we're going to be covering the basics or best practices of creating interactive presentations. We're not going to be focusing on videos today. Next week, we'll be having a session on the creation of videos. So then we can also take you through that. We're going to be we're going to be talking about the best practices first, and then we're going to be talking about how to do this in Moodle. So I'll be giving you a hands-on demonstration on how to create an interactive presentation. And then if there's enough time, we will then ask maybe one of you to share your presentation with us. I'm going to give you a chance to actually follow along. So if you want to follow along, then we can all do this together. All right, so that being said, I'm recording I think the recording is in progress. Yes, it is being recorded. So once we're done with this training session, I will then also make this video available on YouTube. And then share it with all the colleagues that have registered for today. So I'd like to welcome you. My name is Andre Hubert. I'm Coordinator Digital Media, and I'll be assisted by Mr. Alphonse Kawike. All right, so let's talk about the best practices in H5P. I'm going to keep this short because I'll actually share this document with you as well. So when creating H5P content for students, it's important to keep your eye on the following topics from a learning design perspective. So that would be creating clear objectives, define what your learners should know or what they should be able to do after the presentation. Keep it short, using a brief, focused content to maintain attention. So we've always been speaking about short snippets, especially when it comes to video content. Keep it short so that you keep the retention of the student. Use interactive elements. Now, this could be anything from quizzes, questions, activities, or engage learners throughout the process. And I'm going to be showing you how to set up a couple of these. Keep in mind, this is just an introduction course, so I'm going to maybe just have a look at 2 to 3 questions. I want to make it more interesting in terms of adding images and how to make boxes and stuff like that, so that the presentations actually are very creative. So like I said, using interactive elements, you then can use quizzes, questions, or activities to engage the learners. And then you can use visuals wisely. This is usually to do with images and diagrams. If you don't need them, don't use them. Don't overwhelm the student with it. But me being a creative, I really like it being colorful. I feel it draws your attention if something actually is on the screen and you can see it. So use then the visuals wisely. Make it accessible. At the university, we have a wide range of students. Some have disabilities. It would be good to create content that students with disabilities can access as well and use as well. Provide feedback. There are lots of features that you can use to guide learners in the process of actually answering or going through the activities that you set up. We can also look at those. And then test and review. So you as the lecturer, you can obviously upload and then make sure that it is clear, that the clarity is there, usability is there, and that there are no technical issues. So for instance, once you've done it, you then check to make sure that you can actually use it correctly. So if there's a little go back page, if you click on that and if it doesn't work, you need to solve the problem in fixing that to make sure that it is user-friendly and actually accessible. Okay, encouraging reflection. So in most cases, when you do revision, that you could actually use these little activities that you create as revision, so that you share them with the students once again and say that you should just work through them again just for the revision to help them actually get questions and find answers to those questions. And then last but not least, keep content updated. So I'm going to show you two ways of adding these type of activities. There's one where you create a copy. If you create a copy, that copy is a standalone item. So that item, you will have to go to that particular page and fix it. But if you create a link to the original, all you need to do is edit the original and the rest of the links will then be updated. So there's a couple of ways of fixing these things up. All right, so I'm actually going to share this document with you now directly in the chat, so you can just download it and then you have it available. So let me just quickly stop sharing my screen. Do we have any questions before we get into the hands-on little demonstration that I'll be sharing with you now? Is there anyone who wants to ask a question? Floor's open. Going once, going twice. All right, then let's dive right in. Okay, so I actually went ahead and created a couple of activities I'm just going to share my entire screen so everyone can see. Desktop, share. So you should be able to see everything that I have on my screen right now, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Alphonse. Alphonse, please just check the chat to make sure that if there are any questions, that we can answer them.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, am I still legible, everyone? Can everyone still hear me? I'm not legible. Yeah. Can everyone still hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, good. Okay, so let's talk about H5P in Moodle. Okay, so what I did was, let me just turn editing off. Okay, it is off. So what I did was on Moodle, when you log into Moodle, you can obviously then go to your course if you want, because the nice thing about all of this is you can hide the content from students. So even if you go to any of the courses you are using, you can add a little section into the course, and then from there you can hide it so that once you're done with this testing and you're ready to roll it out, then you can actually make it available for the students. So I'm going to be in a course called our Sandbox. This is the testing area for Moodle that most of the colleagues and I use. All right, so let's start from the top again. So once again, like I said, if you want to create this content, you can then obviously add a section. I'll show you how to create a section under which you can actually put your content. And then from there, you can then add the H5P assets as needed. For today, we're going to be using the interactive presentation. So I'm going to click on the interactive presentation, and then you'll see that it loads up automatically. What it does is you can see there's a couple of slides. That's slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4, slide 5, and it goes on like that all the way to the end where they have a summary. And all of these little markers at the bottom, these little circles, is where I've put in activities for the students to do. So if this is the introduction page. If I click, I can either click next slide at the bottom here, or I can just click on the next slide over here. So if I click here, you will see that I've added this little introduction here. That's Mr. Andre Hubert, that's me. And then we've got Alphonse Kawike, Mr. Alphonse Kawike, and he's in the meeting as well. He's the one chatting back to me most of the time. Okay, so if we go to the next page, you will see that I've added this little question here. And now the student going through the presentation needs to answer a question. How many colleagues work in the digital media unit? So if they decide to say one colleague, it says that answer is wrong, and show the solution. So you can make this available to students to see, or you can make the retry available. Now, if the student got the answer wrong and they want to try again, they can click retry. If I remember correctly, there should be 2 guys, right? So if I click 2, it corrects it, and then it gives the student a mark. Directly after that, we're going to go to the next slide. I'm going to click next slide. And now the nice thing is you can actually add a video into this presentation as well. So let's say, for instance, you've got some videos, nice videos, should I say, some open source videos that you are allowed to use from YouTube, and you would like to share that with your students. Let's say you're doing the skeletal structure of a human being, and you somewhere found a nice explainer video on all the bones in the body. you can then add it into this and you can let students watch it. And then you can also ask questions about that on the next slide. So let's say, for instance, my students now watched the video I created, I made available for them here. And then on the next slide, I have a question for them. So now, can you change your Moodle email address? Now, this video that I put in is basically a short tutorial on how students can go about changing their email addresses in Moodle. So the answer would obviously then be yes or true. So if the student goes to the next page and they then decide they didn't watch the video, so they're just going to answer finger sucking, and they say no, it's or false, it's wrong, and they click check, gives them a particular point as well. Once again, you can make the view the correct answer available, and you can let them retry. So in a formative session, you probably wouldn't let them retry. You'll let them answer, and they'll check, and then they'll get their mark. So let's continue. So on the next slide, I basically added 2 links underneath these videos. So the one is about MS Stream. Oh, this is actually Teams, the first one, and the second one is MS Stream. Now, what I did was I actually added tutorials for this. So as you can see, I can add video links into the resources for students as well. So they don't have to watch a video. They can just click on the link and they can go to the video and watch it. So that's also a possibility. So I added that in. And then after they've watched that video, they come back to the presentation, and on the next page, I'll ask another question. So the question was, name 2 of the recording solutions used at UNAM. Now, if the student, back in the day, we used to have Panopto, and we are still working hard to get that software back because it worked seamlessly. I will never stop singing its praise. But for now, we are using Microsoft Teams, and we are using Microsoft Stream. So on the previous slide, there was Microsoft Teams and Stream. So if the student selects these answers and says correct, then they get a correct mark and they get a point for it. So this is an example of a multiple choice question that I put into the presentation as well. Let me go to the next slide. I put in another question just to make it look creative. So this is then exactly the same. Just give me a second, colleagues. All right, sorry about that, colleagues. Okay, so let's say the lecturer, the student now has another set of questions. Maybe this was another question inside those videos that they watched. Then the student can answer the question as well. And if they get it wrong, you can just see that the multiple choice question on the previous page. Let's quickly go back to the previous page. On the previous page, Panopto was at top, and on this page, MS Teams is at the top now. So it's a whole. It makes it random. Oh, that's the word. Randomizes it, so students can't cheat off each other. If I click here, then the answers are correct, and then we continue to the next page. So then I've added in a little slide. So let's say the student went through, but they're not happy with the marks they got, and you allowed them to actually retake the stuff. They can actually click this little section here where it says go to start. If I click on it, it takes me back to the beginning, and we can then continue through the presentation again. At the end of the presentation, you will then have all the marks that the student got. And I have checked, I've actually, the previous session, the question was asked, can you use this as formative assessment for students? And the answer was yes. You can actually use something like this as a formative assessment for students. So that is the presentation. Do we have any questions before I take you into the setting up of this particular document?
Hi, if I may.
Yes, you're more than welcome to.
Yes, I'm from the literature side, and I'm looking at the kind of questions that you're giving as activities.
Yes.
How well is it for me really to navigate in a discipline like teacher on such a platform? Because I'm from more on the qualitative discursive side, where the student has to provide detail, thick descriptions of the issues under study. How easy is it for me really to function and work in that kind of platform that you're sharing with us?
Yeah. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think there are sections, there are particular questions where you can actually have open-ended questions where you can actually ask a question and they can type out as much information as you would want them to. But then this doesn't lean itself towards that. I think that would be more for like an assignment or along those lines. This would be more in terms of like a short presentation that you give to your students that they go through, and then from there answer questions which you actually which are present inside the presentation. I can actually take this up with the instructional designers and see what they have to say about that. That is okay, and I can maybe get back to you. I'll get back with in a mail. What I did in the previous session was all the questions that were asked that I couldn't answer, I then got back to them with the recording of the session so that all the answers were answered, as well as then the participants then receiving the video. Would that
Thank
be
you. Yes, thank you very much.
Not a problem, not a problem. So you've got you are more interested in long answer questions.
Yes, the nature of the discipline requires, where the students reflect, discuss, they're analyzing,
Yeah.
they're providing those big detailed descriptions of the issue that will be interrogating at that point in time.
All right, now I hear what you're saying. Okay. I
Thank
will
you.
definitely get back to this one. Is there another question? Okay, what is the recommended duration of an Okay, so the recommended it's usually a presentation that you'll be creating. I think the recommendation that we make for lecturers when creating recordings for students is that they should take a look at the content. If you can come in. If the content is too long, then they should maybe break it up into pieces. So I would recommend that your slide shouldn't, or your presentation shouldn't be more than 15 pages, but it shouldn't be less than 10 pages. Great. All right, good. So now I'm going to go and create some content. Okay, if we go back to the course, we're going to turn our editing on. And if you've never used H5P before, you are going to find that your H5P container is going to be empty. So what we're going to need to do is, for example, now I'm going to come to the bottom of the page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new section where I will be creating the H5P. So I'm going to add a new section. Remember, I turned edit on, and I am inside the sandbox course, but you can do this inside any of the courses that you offer as well. So I added a new section. I'm going to name the section H5P content. And then I'm going to press enter to accept the name. And now I'm going to go to add an activity or resource. And I'm going to click add an activity or resource. And I'm going to look. If you go, it was on the first page, but I just want to show you it's under activities. If you go to under activities, you can select H5P from here. But if you load up into the first, it's usually on this side. So I'm just going to click here. And now it's going to ask me to give my activity a name. So I'm going to name it, let's just say, all right, let's go H5P practice. Practice. We really need to find a better way of naming this because H5P practice is a bit of a mouthful. So, okay, what we did is we created the name of the H5P, and then we're going to come to the package files. Now, because you don't have anything available quite yet, we're going to need to go to the content book. This is where we're going to create them, and we're going to load them from the content book into Moodle. So if you're following along, please click on content book, and then we can open that up. So I'm going to click on content book. You will see there's a whole bunch of activities already here. This is like all the testing that we've done so far. So what is important for you is you probably won't have anything here, but now we need to add a new activity. So you hereby this little red box, it's called add. If you drop this down, it's a drop down menu. You can then look for course presentation. course presentation. So we're going to select course presentation. And once I select course presentation, it's going to load up the view finder. So this is basically the interface. If you scroll down just a little bit, you can then see that you can give it a title again. So I'm going to say this is going to be presentation 1. And then you will see that you only have one slide. So let me quickly just talk about the interface here. Then we've got the toolbar, which is this little section here, this whole section here. In this, you will find text, links, images, shapes, videos. This is the thing I use, that little clip at the end where you go back to the beginning of the page. This is go to slide. Then you can add audio. All of these things are basically, you can add stuff to Moodle in terms of, you can upload content to Moodle, but we wouldn't suggest that because as everyone knows, our server space is our server space. If it runs out, and then we're going to have a big problem. So the links are the way to go in terms of stream, YouTube, all of those things. You'd rather share a link than upload a video directly to Moodle. So these are basically the functionality tools or feedback tools that you can use here, or the tools that you use to create the presentation. After that comes questions. This is like fill in the blanks, single choice sets, multiple choice sets, true or false questions, drag and drop questions, summaries. If you press the 3 little dots there, you've got a whole plethora of more stuff that you can actually add into this presentation. But for today, we're going to be focusing primarily on multiple choice questions, true or false questions, as well as single choice questions. And then we're going to be adding this little go to slide source file, basically on the presentation. Then we're going to be adding a video. We can make a shapes to make this thing very nice. You can add images, and we're going to be adding links as well as text. On the far right, you can see the paste button. So the paste works once you've added one of these elements to the page, you can then copy it there. It will then copy it to the pasteboard, and then you can go to your next slide, and you can then click here, and it will paste whatever you copied from the previous slide onto the new slide. All right. Then I want to bring your attention to the little couple of icons at the bottom here. So as you can see, I've only got one slide. If I click this box, this plus slide, it adds another slide to my presentation. So as you can see, I've got 2 slides now. And if I add another one, now I've got 3. So this is very nice in terms of the fact that you can add slides here. Now, say for instance, you've created something on a slide and you want to now copy that slide and maybe just change a couple of the elements. That's very straightforward. All you do is you click clone slide. So as you can see, this is my slide 1. This will probably be my introduction. Then my slide 2 will be my where the information starts, and this could be my last slide where I'm closing off. Let's say I want to add some more slides that look similar to the slide I have in the middle. I can then clone that slide, and it will add a slide in that looks just like that slide. Then you can add backgrounds to your slides if you wanted to. Let's say, for instance, I wanted this slide to be blue. I can then go slide background. I can click on that. Then I'm going to go to this slide, let's say color, and I'm going to make it blue. And then I'm going to close it. So now you'll see that number 2 is blue. So all the slides that were selected are blue, and then the white ones come. All right. I actually made a mistake because I didn't want this one to be blue. So I'm just going to change this color quickly. Go back, slide, no color. I just want the first one to be blue. All right, so that's how you can do it. Let's say I continue through here and I want this slide to be pink. I would then come to slide background. I would come down to pink. I would select the pink that I want. I made a mistake again because I selected template instead of slide. So I'm going to say X. I'm going to select slide, click color, go down to pink, select my pink, and close it. So now if I go back, you'll see that the first one is blue, second one is white, third one is white, and the last one is pink. We don't really want these pink colors at all, so I'm going to clear them because I'm going to be bringing images in to my slides. So I'm just going to clear this out quickly. Okay, let me keep this one like this. So let's say I wanted to move this slide forward. I actually wanted the blue slide to be at number 3, right? How do I do that? I select my slide, and then I go here to move slide. I'm going to click there, and I click there. And now, if I go to the first slide, it's white. Second slide is white. Third slide is blue. So these two icons basically move your slides to where you want them to be, or position them where you want them to be. So if I go forward again, you can see that the positioning has changed again. And then I don't want that blue slide, so I'm going to delete it. How do you delete a slide? You come to this little thing over here, you click on that, say okay, and you delete it. So I hope that wasn't too confusing. These are all the settings that you need to actually make presentations. So let me quickly ask you, do you have any questions here? Or can I start creating the presentation? Okay, let's get to the fun stuff. I'm going to start my presentation by bringing in an image. So for most of us, we'll probably be using a PowerPoint presentation. PowerPoint presentation that we've created in the past, and then we'll be sharing that with our students. So let me quickly show you how to save your PowerPoint presentation as images. I'm going to quickly just open any presentation that I have here. Let's go with this one. I'm going to open this presentation. Everyone can still see what's happening on my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay. I'm just waiting for this to open up. Okay, so you should be able to see this. Okay, let's say you have a presentation. So this is basically not reinventing the wheel, but using content that you already have. Yeah. So I've got a presentation here. This presentation I want to share with my students. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically save this out as JPEGs or images, and then I'm going to import them into my presentation. So how do we do this? In PowerPoint, you would then go to File, and you would come to Export. If you click on Export, you will then you can just navigate to wherever you have the presentation saved, or you can create a folder in which you want to save it. I already have done this process before, so instead of doing that, what's important here is that the file format, you need to change this from PDF document to JPEG document, basic documents. Then it's going to ask you stuff like your aspect ratio, the size of the screen. Do you want to keep it as that or save current slides only? So you can save every slide, or you can save only the first slide that you're on in this format. I would usually go for everything that covers the whole base, and then I would say export. Once you click export, I'm not going to do that now because I've already done it. If you click export, it's going to create a little folder for you, or wherever you said it must download it or export it, and you will see that my presentation is now in the form of pictures that I can add to my course. All right, so these are all JPEGs. They've all been exported from my PowerPoint presentation. All right. In addition to these images that I'm from my presentation, I'm going to be using a couple of images that I actually downloaded as well. So these over here are little images that I got from a free source. And I want to bring your attention to the fact that should you need resources like these, we can actually create them. Myself and Alphonse, we can create these resources for you. So yes, please, if you want to make anything looking like this, or if you want to just improve your learning resources that you have available, we can definitely assist you in creating this. I'm actually going to drop this little form into the chat so that you have it. So if you do ever need something like this for us, so what this is our graphic design, services that we have available for lecturers at the university. So if you need anything like this, you can feel free to contact us. I'm going to just drop this into, I'm trying to drop it in. Leave it here. And then from here, I'm going to drop it inside there. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to share that with you. This is how to contact us. This is what we create, and we can then assist you with these types of things, basically. Okay, so I'm going to move away from the PowerPoint presentation now. I'm going to go back to the course. So what I did was I exported my PowerPoint presentation to form JPEGs so that I can bring them into my course. And now I'm going to add some images. So I'm going to add 2 slides. Let me just make a couple more slides. I'm not going to make a lot of slides. I think I'm going to only use 7 slides. So on the first slide, I'm going to add an image. So if I click add an image, it's going to ask me to add an image. If I click add an image, then I can navigate to where I actually have these slides available. And then I'm going to add my introduction page. You can put in alternative slide text here if you want. And what I would do is I'd say this is slide 1. And then I would say done. Okay, let me quickly go back and just show you what happened there. If you add something to the page, it basically shows you this whole little dialog box. And what is important here is that you bring your attention to these 4 icons here. This is done, delete, save, and cancel. So for the process of adding the image, if I click save, I'm going to save the whole activity and it's going to exit it and I can then review it. So when adding elements or content to your presentation, save is not the place to go, or cancel. You need to click on done. If I click done, it adds it to my presentation. And now I can resize it the way that I want it. The nice thing is it hooks into place. So you can actually see, like, as I'm moving, it's basically clipping into place. So I can see this is the center. So you can either drop your image like I did now, just like that in the middle, or you can stretch it out. Just make sure and keep in mind that you're not breaking our logo, because if that's happening, then you must just revert back to the way it was, which was somewhere around here. All right. So from here, I've now added my first slide. I'm happy with that. I don't think I'm going to add any content. This is the introduction page. This shows students they're going to be going through supporting blended learning with digital media. Okay, the second page, I'm going to add another image. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring in the second slide. Say add. I'm going to go to, not the second slide, I'm going to go to this one. Okay, so then I'll add this and I'll say slide 2. And then I will say done. Now it'll add this into my document as well. Okay, I could just line it up till I'm happy with it. So that's how that looks good. Now, if you can remember in the previous one, I actually had a little square around the 2 names. How would I do something like that? Let's say, for instance, I had an image and I wanted to make like a little line or a block indicating something specific. Let's do that quick. I'm going to add a shape. So if I come to shapes, you will see that you've got a couple of shapes here. You've got square, circle, horizontal line, and a vertical line. So I'm going to go just with the square, click square. It's going to add a square to my document now. And then if you want there to be maybe like a white filling and a red outside, you can then say this is full color. That means the inside of the square. So then you would just leave it at white. If you wanted the border color to be a different color, you can then make that maybe red. And then you can make the border maybe thicker. Maybe I'm going to keep it on 2 for now so we can just see what it looks like. The thing I really don't like about this is the fact that you can't see a preview of what you're busy with. You have to actually go set it up and then say done. Then only you can see it, which is kind of annoying, but let's just go through the process. So I'm going to keep it on 2. I'm going to make it a solid line. You've got a couple of choices here. If you go drop it down, you can go either dotted line. Okay, let's go dotted line. Let's just see what it looks like. And the nice thing about this, you can actually change the radius of the square. So I can maybe go, let's go 10, make that a test as well. And I'm going to click done. Now you will see it's added my square in, and I can actually move it wherever I want to move it. So now let's say I wanted to highlight the two individuals on the screen. I can then drag this out and drag it across to there, and then maybe reduce the size just to about there. But now I've got a problem. The content behind is not visible. How am I going to fix this? So if you've been paying attention, you can see that these little blocks appear every time I click on something. If I click here, it appears here. So this is the editing basically options of this particular square. I can copy it, I can send it to bring it to the front, or I can send it to the back. Now, I already do know that this image I brought in is a flat image. I can't, if I send that image to the back, right? You still won't be able to see what's happening here. So what I'm going to need to do here is remove the white color or make the white color transparent so that you can see what's happening behind. Okay, so let's quickly do that. I'm going to click edit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come to full color, click on that. You'll see right underneath the color section where you select the color. Remember what I said, if you wanted a pink, you would select pink here, and then you would select your color there. And this would then be the color of the square. Or if you wanted a green or a yellow, you would select the yellow there, and then you would come here and you would fine tune your color. You would then select which color you want. That's a nice, it kind of looks very nice representation of the UNAM yellow. So I'm just going to keep that. Now, it's a pity it's not going to be seen because now I'm going to take this little slider. You can see this is a transparency slider. If I take this and I slide it all the way to the edge there, and I say choose. Now, if I'm done, all of a sudden now you can see the content that's behind. So I found a nice way to change that around. I could actually now go back inside. I can, if I wanted it to maybe be a little bit more, so that you can actually see some of the yellow, I could say choose, done, and that's how it would look there. So you can kind of manipulate things here a bit. For this particular example, I'm going to just keep it as it is. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to say choose. I'm going to say done. So now I have got that little, is my square with the dotted edges around. Now I'm going to put in a question. So on the next slide, I'm going to put in a single choice question. And I'm quickly just going to say something simple like, how many colleagues work in the digital media section? So that's my question. This is obviously going to be a question that is relevant to your topic that you're covering. I am covering our section, so this is a valid question. And then I can obviously put a question mark at the end. So this would be the question I'm putting in. Now, there's two questions. For some reason, it always loads two questions. So let me just show you. You'll see that there are two questions loaded up. And I don't know if this is an error, but what is important is that you know that you can remove this bottom question by just confirming. And if you only want to have two answers, you can leave it like that. But if you want to maybe have three answers, you can click on add answer. So I can add an alternative. You will see that the little star here is highlighting something. The star is basically indicating the first answer that you put in. So this answer over here will be the correct answer. And then the answers that follow will be the wrong answers. So for this particular question, I'm going to put in the question again. And then I'm going to say 2 as my correct answer. Then I'm going to say 1 as an answer, alternative answer, and 3 as an alternative answer. I'm going to scroll down. Overall, you don't really, if you want to give them feedback in terms of like, well done, you can put this in here. But then obviously, if you've got multiple choice questions and there are more than one correct answer, which would actually be from the multiple questions section, you can then break this up into how many questions you have. So if they get one question out of the 3 answers that they could have gotten, they get maybe 30% here. So you can then add a rating, which will be 30%. Or if they get 2 of the 3 answers correct, they would then get 60%. And if they get, oh, sorry, this is actually, let's say there's 4 correct answers. So then it'll be 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Or depending on how you want to break it up. My maths is very broken today. It's been a long day. So then you can basically break it up the way you want. But for this particular one, we don't need this. We don't need this to be added. So I'm just going to keep it at 100 and I'm going to say, well done once they get the correct answer. And then behavioral settings. If you go into behavioral settings, you can see that you got automatically continue. This means that if the student gets the answer correct, it will automatically continue. You can add that or you can take it away. So time out on answers. So you can actually change the settings here to make them have to answer it correctly so that it will continue. So if I say auto is off, then it's going to take the settings that I've put in here, and that will then let the student not continue until he gets it right. I'm going to keep it the way it is right now. If you go to enable sound effects, that's pretty nice. The sound effects are there. I don't know if you heard them when I was going through the presentation, but there are sound effects. Like if you get a correct answer, it goes ding, and then it gives you your little things, but you can have a look at those. So you can enable that or disable that. And then you've got enable retry button. So let's say this was a formative test or formative presentation, and you actually wanted them to answer the questions inside here. You would then disable retry, and you will disable show solution. So, but because this is a practical, this is just like me showing you what's happening here, I'm going to keep these on. Actually, let's try and see what happens if you don't get it right. We'll leave that out. And then once you're happy with everything that you've added, you can say done. Then you will see it'll add the question in like this. So my answer here is, how many colleagues work in the digital media section? 2, 1, and 3. If I save this now, if I basically say save and I go out, it's going to randomize this. So the 2 won't be at the top again. 1 will be at the top, 2 will be second, and 3 will be third. Or 3 will be at the top, 2 will be in the middle, and 1 will be at the bottom. So it will randomize it in that sense as well. Okay. Now, I've created this question. It doesn't look very interesting, so I'm going to maybe add 2 more elements to this particular page. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add those pictures I showed you. So I'm going to click on images. I'm going to click add. I'm going to select maybe this girl. I'm going to say add. I'm going to call her thinking 1. And I'm going to add her. And now I can resize her. So I can basically make her bigger. And you can see she's in front of my question here. So I can basically move her out the way. But if she was still in the way, I could then move her to back. Send to back. Now she's behind the question. The question's in front. And let's say maybe I wanted to make it more interesting. I could now maybe add a shape. I'm going to add another square. I'm going to change the square's color to red. Okay, she's blue, so I'm going to maybe make it like a nice green. Nice green. I'm going to choose. I'm not going to have an outline outside. I'm just going to say no outline. I'm going to choose that. And I'm going to say done. Now my green square gets added, so I can move it in front of her. And what I can do is I can basically resize this thing. And what I want to do is I want to create it so that it slides in behind her like that. It's in front of all of the artwork, I'm going to click send to back, and it sends it to the back, and it creates the presentation basically like this now. So now I've got my girl in the front. She's thinking. Here's my question. If my text is not really legible, I can then maybe this green is too much. Maybe I like the green. I don't want to remove it. How do I get my text to stand out more? I can then come to edit of the text. Okay, it doesn't have these options here. So for this particular, I'll show you just after this question, I'll show you the other questions that we have, types that we have. In the other question types that oh, there we go. Good. So I selected it now, and I can actually change this to bold. So I can make it bolder, or I can then go to paragraph, or I can align it in the middle. So you do have little options here in terms of if you want to make it italics, if you want to make it all, if you want to remove all the stuff, you can basically just add that in. Yeah, this question doesn't have the ability to change it to maybe a H2, H3, H4. The other questions do. This one you can only bold. But let's quickly have a look and see how it looks. So I bolded it. I scroll down to the bottom and I say done. So there it kind of does look a little bit better. If the color is too much and you need to change that, you can just select on the square, and then you can maybe change it to a light blue, a lighter blue, maybe something like that. So choose, done, and there we go. So now that has been added. Okay, I see there's a question. Repeat how you indicate which is the answer. Okay, so if I quickly click on this section, okay, so let's say, for instance, I'm now going to bring in my questions. Again, this is single choice questions. If I bring them in, I click editing, or when I'm setting up the question itself, I put in my question at the top as a title, then I put my question in, and the first answer, so you will see the first alternative is the correct answer. So the first answer has to be the correct one. Okay, otherwise this question style won't work. So let's say, for instance, you wanted the first question, the answer to be 1. You could then move it up. So the first answer would then be 1, so the answer would then be correct. If the student types in 1, 1 will be the correct answer. If 2 is actually the correct answer, you just click on over here to change the order. 2 moves to the top, 2 is now the correct answer. So yeah, I hope that answers the question about how to add the correct answer in. The first answer in the first section, great, happy you got that. The first answer in the first section is the correct answer, colleagues. Okay, let's quickly scroll down, and I'm going to say done. So now I've got this little slide that actually looks very interesting now. Let's quickly test it out and see what happens. So if I say save, it'll now load my presentation the way that I want it, and close that. And I'm just going to keep this little text box open here so that I can see if there's more questions asked. If I continue through now, you will see that the first slide is my introduction page. If I click on the second page, you can see that we now have our presentation here. These are the 2 colleagues. And now the next slide is going to be my question. And you can see that the randomization has actually kicked in. 3 is at the top, 1's in the middle, and 2 is the correct answer. So now the student must choose which is the correct answer. If they go for 1, it says wrong. And now it's going to give them 0 out of 1. And I gave them feedback. I should have actually said if you get 0, you get, it's not well done. It's like try again or something like that. But yeah, and you can see I disabled the try again or see the correct answer. So now the student has no choice. He's got to move on to the next slide. He cannot re-answer this. He cannot do it again. Okay. Okay, we're actually running out of time, colleagues. So I'm going to have to go a little bit faster. So that was basically single answer question. I'm going to do a multiple question answer now, and then I'm going to do quickly an example of a true and false question. And then I'm going to show you how to add links or add a video in. And then I'm going to show you how to make this presentation then available to your students. So on the next slide, I'm going to quickly just add 2 questions. I'm going to maybe make 2 squares. So I'm going to add square. I'm going to make this square red with an outline. Say done. And I'm going to just split up the screen. And then I'm going to, on this side, add another square. And I'm going to make that yellow. Remember, you select first where you want the color, and then you select the hue that you want. We choose that. So I'm going to say done. And then I'm going to put the square big, and we're going to just put it like that. So on the yellow side, I'm going to add a true or false question, and on the red side, I'm going to add a multiple choice question. So multiple choice question would be you can just keep it multiple choice question. Let me quickly do this. What recording options are available at UNAM? I'm going to put in my answer here quickly. This is going to be Panopto. I'm going to put in maybe MS Stream, and that's a correct answer. So you can see I can actually check if it's correct or no. And I can add another option. And I'm going to say MS Stream. I'm going to say that's a correct answer as well. Then you can basically divide this into 2. So if you wanted to, you could say 0 to 50 would be almost there. Try again. Sorry, what am I typing? Try again, and this from 51 to 100 would then be great work. Okay, the behavior, we want all of our options available. And then we've got confirm dialogue, retry. Yeah, you can leave it as it is because I can show you quickly then how to deactivate. Like I did show you, if you don't want the retry to be available, you say, you just take that off and you take that off. So then they can't retry and they can't see the solution. We want them to see the retry and the solution. So I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to click done. And now I'm going to move this into position right there. And I want to bring your attention to the fact that there's a big space here. You can see that this is a slider. It can actually move down more. For the multiple choice question, you need to drag it down to the bottom because they're going to need to select and then check to actually mark the question correct. All right. If I wanted to, and this has actually got a very nice option here. If you click on this and you click on the question, you can then bold it, or you can you can make it bigger. So like I said, they've got a couple of different options here as well. Like that, if we click formatted, it's going to give you a whole funky heading, but let's just keep it normal as it was. There used to be a thing for color as well here. I don't know where it is now, because you could also change the color of the text. But let's just leave it like that for now. And then I'm going to say done. So this is then your multiple choice questions. Let me quickly add a true and false question. So I take them true and false. I'm going to keep it true and false. The question would be, does SIL train lecturers on, in the use of MS Streams? Question mark. The answer would be true. You can change the behavior. Once again, all of these questions, you can change the behavior to either enable retry or show the solution. We're going to leave it as it is. I'm going to say done. And then I can move this across to here. And then just bring it down to maybe make it a little more aligned with each other. So that looks good. And then I think you can do the same here. If you highlight the text, you can then make it bold, and or you can change it to a bigger heading, etc. I think I'm going to actually change this one to this. And I'm going to say done. Then we're just going to need to make space for it. Then we can move it up. Okay, so now I've got those in. I'm going to quickly do a test so we can see if it works. I'm going to say save. And then as the presentation goes, you know, there's my introduction, then it was the content, then there's the question that needs to be answered. So I'm going to say 2. It's going to give me my correct answer. Okay. And then we're going to go to the next one, which is then these options here. So what recording options are available at UNAM? Stream and Panopto. I know that MS Stream was one, so Panopto is not correct. If I click correct, it shows me that I need to try again. Almost there. I need to try again, and it shows the correct answer. So you can also, so as you can see, it can either give you the correct answer and it can help you along. So let me quickly try that again. If I say that and that, I say great work. Okay. Does SIL train lecturers in the use of MS Stream? False. And check. So they have to try again because they didn't get that right. So let's try again and then check. Great. Got it correct. Do we have any questions so far? I don't want to take up all the time now. I demonstrated now how to quickly create these presentations. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. You add your squares or you add your elements in, you add your images in, and then you add your questions to make the presentation a coherent document. I think for now I'm going to leave it at this. Let me quickly show you how to add. Okay, let's go back. Let's quickly add I'm going to add a video clip to this presentation. So now I'm going to add this here. I'm going to say training video. So let's quickly add video. So if I click on that video, you're going to need to give a source of the video. So if I click on this plus, you can either upload a video, which is not a good idea. We would rather prefer you go with a URL. So I'm going to quickly go to our YouTube channel and I'm going to just take the training video that I've already made. I'm going to copy that. Actually, no. So yes, we are very close to the end of our training session here now. Okay, sorry. That was loud. As you can see, I took this video and I basically broke it up into sections and I allowed for the lecturers to see what are the important parts in the training. So that is possible as well. So you can actually then share these particular times as well with the students. But let me just quickly go to share. So the way to share a video from YouTube is you come to the video. At the bottom here, where you usually see the name of the video, you would go to the right-hand side of the screen where you see share. If you click on share, it's going to give you the URL link for that video. And here you can actually change where you want it to start playing. So this video is already at 58 minutes. Let's say maybe I just wanted them to watch this section here. This section from 53. If I put my playhead right there and I go to share, you will see that it's going to ask me right at the bottom here. It's going to ask me start video at. Click that, and then you can start the video there. Now, if I copy the link and I take it to my presentation, where is my presentation? And I paste in this link, right? And I say insert. You will see that the video will start automatically from that particular point in time. So I can leave it like this and say done. And now I'll open it up. Just really press play and hope that it starts there. Let's say save. And now if I go to the video slider and press play, it actually jumped. Okay, but at least it's got the whole section here that you can actually see. No, that's not what I wanted. Edit. Let's go there, select this video, edit this thing, say playback, auto playback, accessibility, track, visual, add. So funny because it's actually supposed to run with that link. Let me try this again. I'm gonna leave that, go back to that video, start at that point, and now I'm going to copy that link. All right, link has been copied. Go back and paste that link in. Insert. Save. Sorry, I didn't save it. I just went out. I did exactly what I asked you not to do. Just gonna have a look there. So there's the video. And now I'm gonna go save. Let's try again. Okay. Apparently that it doesn't want to work today. So I'm going to have to quickly check this. All right, colleagues, I was under the impression that this would actually work, but it's not doing what I wanted to do. So it would seem that you will not be able to change the duration of the video. You will then have to play the whole video as such. I'm going to, okay, let me do this. In the
Andre?
feedback, yes.
I'm sure there are other tools which you can snip a video in
Yeah.
and then save the snipped one and then load that in.
Yeah. Perhaps you could do that. The only thing is we don't want you to actually download content from YouTube and then upload it to Moodle, because that could be copyright infringement, etc., 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 depending on
Okay.
who the source is. You get what I'm saying? So
Yes.
this would have actually then been the best way. But let me find a workaround for you. In the feedback, I will still have that question that I was asked. I don't have an answer for. I will then add the solution for this as well when I send the video to everyone. Then hopefully we can find an answer on how to reduce the size of the there must be a way that we can just reduce the clip size and then use that URL for the presentation. But in any case, the video has been added now. I think it's a pretty straightforward process to add the video. You need the URL. So if I click there on the video clip, you add your URL in, and then you insert it into the presentation. And then after that, once you've done that, I'm just going to delete this one. Once you've added it in, you can then resize it to the shape that you want. What's very nice is you can customize all of this. So you can literally take it down like that. So you could have one video here and maybe another video here. Maybe this is like part 1 and maybe part 2 will be on that side. And also keeping in mind that it's going to be short videos. That could be an offer. I'm just trying to make you see that there are quite a number of options you have at your disposal as well. And then for the last page, you could either have a quiz again, or maybe I could move these questions that I have here, this particular section. Let me just show you what would happen. If I wanted to copy this, I would select that. I would say copy to artboard. You can see that the artboard has changed now. Now I can come to that slide, and then I can say paste. And it puts that answer in. So I can maybe put that there. And then let me go back. I want the green color, the yellow color as well. So if I click the yellow color, if I click the yellow block, I will then, you see there's nothing there now. If I click copy, it copies it to the artboard. And now if I click on slide 6 and I paste, my yellow comes in. So I can actually open it up nice and big. Remember, now it's in front of the text. So what I need to do is I need to send it to back. If I click on send to back, and now I have this nice yellow question that's available after my video. So let's say this question now is to do with the video, then, or maybe I had a question relating to the video. I could then put it in here. So I'm going to end this presentation by adding one more slide and just adding the thank you page. And I'm going to do that by either typing thank you for example. Let me just quickly give you 2 examples now. I'm going to just say thank you. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to make it bold. This is the option I was actually looking for, because now you can actually bullet things. You can put numbers. You can put dividers in. You can actually move it in above or below. Let me just Move this, delete and delete. You can click on the text. So let me go back here. I'm going to say, so as you can see, there's a lot more options when you actually use the text tool to create headings. You can change it to that. I can maybe change the color of the background. Oh no, actually I can change, yeah, I can change the color of the text behind, so I can make that black. And then I can change the text to white. So that's how it's going to look. Or you can keep the text black and keep the highlight white. I'm actually going to change this to a reddish color. Yes. Thank you. And then you can change that. So that's a heading up, a set 2. That's a heading 2. That's a pretty big heading. So if I click done, you will see that this thing can be taken out like that. That was a little bit bigger than that. Let me just quickly go back and edit it. You can change the alignment, put it centered. Heading 2, paragraph, and you can basically, it's already been bolded. Wonder if we can get any bigger than that. No, can't. So I'm going to say done. So you can say thank you, and that could be the end of your presentation. So this was the whole process of creating a presentation. From the beginning, adding your slides, adding some content, asking your first question, then multiple choice questions. We took a look at multiple choice questions as well as true and false questions. We added a video, and then we added another question. What I basically did was I copied a question from one slide to another slide, and then made that the full information of the slide. And then I added in a slide end page at the end. But okay, let's quickly show you how to add a link. So let's say, for instance, I want to maybe create some resources for my students. So instead of saying thank you here, I'm going to quickly change this to be, all right, so online resources. I'm going to say save. And right underneath online resources, I'm going to click link. So now I need to make this a title. So let's say maybe the resource is a YouTube page. So let's say it's a tutorial. So let's say tutorial link. Now I need the link for that. So the same way you went to YouTube and you got the link for the video. So you'll go to any YouTube video, you'd go to any YouTube video and you would then copy the link. So let's say I want to put this video in as my training, and then I'm going to say share. I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to go back to my H5P presentation, and I'm going to paste in that link. So now that link is in, and I can say done. So now it will show, for instance, there's a video link. Now let's say I want to copy this link. I want to make another link, and I want to maybe make a Wikipedia page or something like that. So I'm going to just copy and paste. It's going to paste it in. Right underneath it, I can then put that one there. I can say edit. And now I'm going to take, let's quickly just go any Wikipedia page. I'm going to go Wikipedia, let's go, let's say science. Maybe you found a very interesting article here. Let's say this is the article that you want to share with your students. You can now copy this link right here. Or say view source. Maybe we don't know view source. We'll just go with copy the link. You can copy this link right here. And then you can go back to your document. You can paste this in. And then I'm going to say, what I can do is I can just copy this. Wikipedia link. Wikipedia link, and you can say done. So now you've got two links. So now, so as you can see, if there's something on the internet and it's got a URL attached to it, you can literally copy that URL, which is this part at the top here, and you can put it into your document. And if we say save, and we quickly go check it out, that particular page, which is here, you'll see that if the student clicks on it now, it will take him to the video. And if the student clicks on the Wikipedia, it'll take him to the Wikipedia page. So you can access that as well. So if you've got, let's say, maybe you find a nice article somewhere on the internet, or you find some images that you want to share, or maybe there's a website itself, you can even put in a website URL here as a link. That's totally manageable. The last thing I want to bring your attention to is this little star with a summary. So this all is then added together to give the student a mark out of 5, depending on how many questions you asked and how many answers there were. Mine only has 3 question sections, and it's comprised of simple questions, simple answers. So there are 5 points up here for grab. So the student will get 5 points, and this could then be used for assessment or for class, for the CAS mark or something like that, if that was what you wanted to do. Let's say you created this activity. So now it's all good and well. You've got this now in your content bank, right? How do I get what I've got in my content bank into my course? That is going to be the next question. So you remember what I did? Let's just quickly say here, cancel. So what I did in my course is I came to the H5P test and I added an activity. I clicked on add H5P. And because I created the activity now already, I know that there is content inside my content bank, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, I'm going to say test 1, or let's say H5P test 1. And to add the file to this now, I need to click on add file, and it will usually come to this type of setup where it says server links. Okay, what you can do, you can see at the top it says content bank, right at the top there. Now click on content bank. It'll now open up all the activities that I've created inside my content bank, right? Now I can scroll down to the presentation that I want to add, whether it be the first one I made or the second one I made. If I select that, it's going to ask me all these. I'm going to say make a copy of the file, or you can link it directly. I usually like to make a copy because I like to have edit them individually in case I use them in different courses. And all you're going to do is select file. It's going to load it. You're going to go down to the bottom and you say save and display. It's going to take a little bit of time to calculate the grades. There's no grades inside. Yeah, you say continue. And now I'm in preview mode, and this is now once again what my students see. Now the content has been added to my course, and my students can now go through the content, answer the questions, and see the presentation, and then see the answers as well. And if I go to the top again, so if I go back to my course, if I go back to the course now, I'll just click on the course again. Remember, I added at the bottom of the course. If I scroll down to the bottom, you will see now that the H5P has indeed been added to the course, and it is active. My students can watch it and they can go through it and answer the questions. So that is how you add it to the course. So there are 2 steps. I'm going to show you again. I'm going to add the activity to this section here. I'm going to say add activity. I'm going to click add H5P. I'm going to name it H5P test 2. If I don't have content, I need to click on content bank to create the content. If I have already created content, I don't have to go to content bank. I can just go to add files. I'm going to click add files. I'm going to navigate to content bank. And I'm going to add my presentation in. I'm going to make sure I make a copy of it, or I'm going to add it. I'm going to link it directly this time. And I'm going to say save. And now it's been added. And all you need to do now is scroll to the bottom of the screen and say save and display. It's going to recalculate. All you do is you click continue. And your presentation will now be added to the course. This is now my second presentation that was added, with the students being able to answer questions if they want to answer them. And just to make sure that it's in the course, I can go back to my course as a whole and scroll down to the bottom, and you will see that 2 activities have now been added. It's test 1 and test 2. And if the students click on it, they will be able to see this content for the presentation. And then if I go back, they will be able to see this presentation as well.